I actually changed my company name because of Facebook ads.
Really?
Yeah. So at the start of my business name was Lucky Bitch.
Yes,
So
that's
it was
right. Yeah.
luckybitch.com. Yes. And so we were in a launch and Facebook just said, nope, you can't say bitch anymore. So we had to mute it in every video. I had to blur it in the background and we had to take it off all of our landing pages at the
Wow.
same time. And so after that, I just went, it's actually not worth it.
Stop and don't spend another single cent on advertising until you listen to this. I'm Marianne Amies. This is Ready, Set, Paid Ads, digital marketing for paid ad success. Let's go. Today on Ready, Set, Paid Ads, I'm joined by Denise Duffield-Thomas. Denise Duffield-Thomas is, in my opinion, the founder of Money Mindset Work. I know there's a lot of people who have gone on to specialize in money mindset, but for me, doing Denise's courses probably over 5 years ago were an absolute game changer. So excited for today's chat on the podcast. And we're going to talk about money mindset, how that impacts your ads campaigns, and how Denise has built such a successful business and the role that ads has played in that. Welcome back to another episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads. I'm so excited to be joined by Denise Duffield-Thomas. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Marianne. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Now, I know a lot about you, and I'm sure a lot of people do too, but can you kick off by introducing yourself?
Yes. So I'm a money mindset mentor, which is a totally made up term. But basically, what I do is I help entrepreneurs deal with those inner gremlins and mindset issues around money. So for some people, it comes up around setting prices, raising prices, asking for money can be really tricky for some entrepreneurs. But also any other mindset issues, which I totally had around ads, by the way. So I can't wait to talk about that. And I do that through my books. I've got a money boot camp. We've had 10,000 people go through that. And really just showing up and giving people permission to talk honestly and openly about money without fear.
Yeah, fantastic. I joined your program, I don't know, possibly 5 years ago. And it was a huge turning point for me. I knew I always felt icky about money conversations and pricing. And I think in your boot camp and in your courses, it made me realize so many things. And I think one of the memories I have is obviously you talk a lot about, money memories. And I kind of got working through one of your exercises, got down to when I was a kid, European family. So my grandfather used to give us money all the time. And so he would give us money and then my parents would tell us not to take it. So he would be yelling at you to take the money. And then my parents would be yelling at me to not take the money. And I'm like, no wonder I'm so fucked up when it comes to money.
Well, I love that you said that because those ahas that I want people to have.
Yeah.
Say, no wonder, and have that self-compassion to go, God, my family told me that it's really impolite to talk about money.
Yeah.
No wonder I can't set a price. No wonder I can't send invoices out. And I'm such a student of that. And I'm so curious about people's stuff. So that's why I love when we can come together in our community. And I'm just like, tell me your traumatic stories around money because let's just laugh about them and be aware of the impact that that's having on us now as adults.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's truly, as a business owner as well, truly life-changing to be able to see that stuff, face it, and then continue to challenge yourself every day. And why do I feel like this? Why am I resisting that? So yeah, well, let's dive in. So the question for you today is, do you ads?
Yes. Okay. So when I said I had a massive mindset thing about ads, okay, so I realized that I have this work hard mentality in my business that I've always had to try and overcome, right? So at the start of my business, it was I have to do everything in my business and I have to have this sweat equity kind of thing. And I resisted doing ads for so long because I realized it was the same conversation to me. This is cheating.
Yeah.
This isn't sweat equity.
Yeah.
This is somehow gaming the system. And also I have dyscalculia.
Yeah.
So dyscalculia is kind of like dyslexia, but with numbers. Yeah. And so anything that felt overly technical, it felt like gambling. And I remember opening up the dashboard for ads right at the start and feeling like I'm not smart enough to figure this out. I'm
Yeah.
going to lose my shirt. It's cheating and it's weird. And I just kind of shut it down. It wasn't until my husband actually started helping me do ads.
Yeah.
He is really good at math. He's very analytical with stuff like that. And it made me not be afraid of ads. And it was only from there that we started to make ads a very, like, a big strategy in our business. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think you're right. I think it comes up for people around it's not lazy, but it's not the hard work approach. And I think also, again, that resistance that the system is trying to rip me off. They just want to take my money, and that kind of resistance to investing in your own success as well.
Well, yes. And I see that actually come up in lots of other areas where people feel like investing money, making money from my money is cheating as well. And so finding any shortcut, any way to get success quicker, it's really interesting how people have different relationships to that. I love pulling together different industries, different group commonality kind of groups. I had a call with a lot of my British clients. I don't know if you remember me talking about this in Money Bootcamp, and saying that a lot of British people have this sense of queuing up for things. They love to queue, right? They will go and wait their turn. And so doing something like ads feels like, but then I'm going to leapfrog other people who are patiently waiting their turn.
Yeah.
Right. And it's against the natural order of things. And I think we have to really examine some of our own biases around that. You said too about having a European family. I sometimes see that with like second generation immigrants. They have this real guilt around leapfrogging success or feeling like they're finding shortcuts, because it's like, no, you work hard, you sacrifice for something in the future. And then that guilt of, well, my parents had to work really hard and my grandparents had to work really hard. So who am I just to cheat it? And of course, we know ads isn't cheating. Like, it's still work. But I just think it's a really fascinating conversation to see what resistance we have around making things easier. Another thing, you've probably seen this a lot too, some people have a real fear of visibility. Ads can amplify that because we feel like, well, if I'm just doing my own stuff organically, I know the people in my circle. Ads are suddenly going to expose me to other people, and then our visibility fears come up. And so it's really important to work on all of this stuff, I think, when we just think, God, in some male industries, they're just like, oh, cool, let's do the ads. This is the ad strategy. Oh, no problem. And then in the female dominated space, there's all this stuff swirling around that then puts us at a disadvantage sometimes.
And I think you touch on this in different either areas of your course or even your calls. And I think as women, it's like we're always waiting to be the enough thing. Once I lose some weight, once I fix my hair color, once I get my Botox, like we're always these physicalities of once I fit this physical mold, then I'll be good enough to do the thing to get people to have their eyes on me as well.
That's so true. But also there's something there around timing sometimes too. It's sometimes that internal thing of going, well, when the stars align, when Mercury retrogrades over. But also I remember feeling, but my website's not ready. Oh, I don't have a perfect funnel. That opt-in's not perfect. I was very lucky actually that one of my best friends in business, one of the first business besties I had, is Victoria Gibson, who is a business coach, but one of her first businesses was ads.
Wow.
So her business was called Facebook Ad Queen, FB Ad Queen. And so she would just say, oh, let me have a look. Oh, let me have a, and she demystified it a little bit for me. And also realizing that you don't need to have everything perfect behind the scenes to start doing that, especially when you look at all the different ad strategies, and some are for engagement, some are for building your list, some are for the know, like, and trust factor, and some are for sales. And all of those have their place too.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I do focus a lot on telling people ads can't save you. Everything else needs to be working to have the perfect outcome. But I guess the contrary to that point, which is still really valid, is ads can still help you when those things aren't quite ready. And it is, again, coming back to what your goals are, you're so right. Like if you're just at the beginning and people just don't know who you are, you can run awareness ads off your existing content and not really need your website to be great, because all you're trying to do is get that initial eyeballs on you. So people go, oh yeah, I know that face, or oh yeah, I know that voice, which is such a good point, because I think it is largely a female kind of mindset, but we get stuck in that perfection. I've had clients take 5 years to launch a website, 5 years, because every 6 months when they came back to it, their nearest competitor had changed and done something else. And then they're intimidated by that. And it wasn't perfect. And this pixel wasn't 100% aligned to something else. And it's sort of being plagued by that perfectionism actually stops you from getting out there and just giving it a go.
Yes, absolutely. In everything, not just ads, anything in business, I feel like it's such a big thing for us as women mostly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I don't think males worry about that. And they have that, they're just wired differently. The opportunity to just get out there and be visible and say things and be inflammatory and controversial and all those things, I think that we as women overthink.
Oh, absolutely. Even my audience is very American. And so I think I got a couple of years ago, I felt like I had to really hyperfixate on American news and really feel like, oh, I have to make sure I'm not going to say anything that I made myself sick from it, because I just got into that feeling of I have to be perfect. I have to know all the things. And it kind of took me away from my mission a little bit of going, hang on, this is what I'm helping people with. I don't have to be everything to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you spoke about your friend who had a great ads business and you started to dive into ads. What did that ads journey look like for you early on? Was that something that really helped to kind of amplify the business and move it along?
Absolutely. And I think I've always been good at creating content anyway and showing up and being consistent around that. So I think what was helpful at that start is really using it for launches.
Yeah.
Because I knew that in a launch cycle, I would get to a point where I'd go, oh, okay, we've done enough now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't want to send out that email. And so having someone else do ads as well, whether it was, we've had agencies, we've had my husband do it, we had my friend, it almost like took me out of the process. And so then it wasn't my own launch fears and gremlins that could come into place. It was, and also because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't see my own ads necessarily. So it was almost like I had a little Denise clone out there who was doing that work for me. And I found it so incredibly helpful to remove myself a little bit from the energy of feeling like I was being salesy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think there's that as women, or that thing about we don't want to be pushy. We want to succeed and we want to help. And I think talking to someone yesterday about that, I think we are often motivated by a genuine desire to help.
Yeah, oh, we are, absolutely. And also the flip side of that is that we think, oh God, we're bothering people. I know for myself, I am grateful for those reminders.
Yeah.
Because I go, oh yes, I meant to sign up for that. Oh, thank God I saw that ad when I was browsing Marketplace, procrastinating, trying to find a random thing. I'm like, oh yes, I'm meant to sign up for that thing. I've never gone, why is this person stalking me? I can't believe, I'm always super grateful. And also, like I buy things from ads all the time, things that I need. And I know people get a bit annoyed sometimes of like, oh, my phone's always listening to me. But it's actually genuinely helpful sometimes to go, oh, I actually do need that thing. And I buy, like, I've got lashes on from Silly George. You get the ads from Silly George?
Yeah.
I bought that. Right. And so it's like we often think, oh, everyone's thinking that I'm bothering them, instead of realizing we're in business to solve people's problems.
Yeah.
And the more that they can know about this and be reminded that I have a solution, the better it is for them. We're not doing it in a selfish way.
No, absolutely. And a couple of thoughts on that. Firstly, I can't remember who said it to me, but, almost saying to your phone the thing that you're looking for so that then the ads will come to you.
Like, I have done that.
For my mother-in-law, present for my mother-in-law, Google, go do your thing, sign me on the ads. Because sometimes it is that thing where you're like, I don't have time to go and look at everything. And it can be really handy when you look at one product and then you get served. I notice, I'm not sure if you're the same, but with my husband, I get served ads, obviously for his things he's looked at. So I'll say to him, like, are you looking for a new watch? Because I'm getting all these men's ads for watches at the moment. And he'll be like, oh, that's so weird. I don't know what we have that must be connected through our accounts, but we do get ads for each other, which is quite.
Mine's the opposite because Mark's often logged in as me because he's my launch manager.
Yeah.
So then he gets all the stuff. And yeah, so we have the same feed, but it's all stuff for me. It's all ballet and like perimenopause stuff and eyelashes. And
At least he knows what to buy you, you know, knows what to buy you for your birthday.
that's true. See, that's a good tip, everyone. You go to your husband's phone and say new rings or absolutely. It does work. It's useful. And I think that's the beauty of the algorithm stuff, right? And I see the contrast so much on Twitter. The ads I get served on Twitter are so random.
Yeah.
And stuff that I do not want. And like, it will be fertilizer, like industrial fertilizer for farmers in Ohio. And I just think, how bloody useless. I've never clicked on a Facebook ad.
Yeah.
The amount of ads I've clicked on Facebook and Instagram because they know me. It's useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's funny. I remember being in my 30s and getting those ads. It was like, hey, 40-year-old women in my suburb, we're at near gym. I'd be like, how dare you? I am not a 40-year-old woman, you know. When the algorithm gets it wrong, you're so insulted. Like, no,
that's true. Yes. But at Christmas time this year, Christmas shopping was so easy for me this year because I was just getting served like this new toy, this new thing. And I was like, yep, thank you. And then now that shop is attached to it too, where I was just like, click, yay, done. It felt so good to do.
And I think, again, coming back to mindset, it's such a mindset thing, isn't it? Because there are some people that feel that is intrusive and how dare they know what I need. And then I think on the other hand, there's people like us that look at it and go, amazing, like, thank you. You've saved me time. Whenever I buy on a Facebook or Instagram ad, I feel really good for the ads manager. I'm like, oh, that person's going to get good ROS now because I've made a purchase.
I bet you do. Yes. Well, actually, when I first started my first online business, so I'm talking like 2003, right? I created an ebook. And I remember my manager at my work, he knew I was doing this side hustle and he goes, oh, don't worry, I clicked on all your ads for you.
No.
And this was on YouTube. I got banned for YouTube forever. Yeah, back in like 2003 because he was like, I'm going to click on every single ad for you. And I went, you haven't, no, don't do that. And now I realize too that even having ads running, I've had people recently say, God, I opened my phone and there you are. And I go, yeah. And like they've never clicked on anything.
Yeah.
So, and I think too now the life cycle of a customer can be so long.
Yeah. I agree.
I'll have people who have joined my bootcamp. They say, I've been following you for 5 years and you just stalked me and you've been so consistent in your brand and you've been so consistent in showing up. And that is a combination of organic and paid traffic. It's not an accident that happens. And I just think, well, I'm just going to brainwash you until eventually you join my bootcamp, right?
My team said that to me the other day. Just wear them down till eventually they have to buy from you.
Well, in my first year of business, when I had all of those fears as well about visibility, my affirmation was, my face is my fortune.
Yeah.
My face is my fortune. And that worked for me because I knew that my personality was the product in lots of ways. Yeah. Other people, you might not need that. It could be, my cups are my fortune, my earrings are my fortune, and you have to be so consistent. And so I always think I want to show up. I don't look like this every day. I mean, I don't have tons of hair and makeup on today, but like I'll always try, it'll be blue, it'll be beachy. And then so then what's cool about that is people will see something that's blue and they think, Denise.
Yeah.
They'll see a combi and they'll go, Denise.
Yeah.
And so it's part of like, it is that brainwashing thing, but it's being top of mind for people. And ads are just a way to help you do that.
Yeah. And it's consistency, right? And you've done an exemplary job of being consistent for such a long period of time, but not everybody has the tenacity, the grit for that consistency or the time or the resources. And I think what ads can do is it can create consistency. You can do less and use ads to be seen more and kind of bridge that gap as well.
Oh, absolutely. We've tried lots of different things over the years. And sometimes if we don't have a big launch, we'll just have like a no like and trust factor kind of thing running $10 a day or something like that, just so we're always showing up. And then, of course, we'll ramp up. So we just finished a launch. We did a mini launch. We haven't done a big launch for about 2 years just because of we had a bit of a sabbatical. And also we used to do our launches in January every year, and it ruined our summer holidays with our kids. So we're still trying to figure out what our next launch cycle is. But Mark just did a mini launch by himself, and it was, I think, about 450,000 Australian, and we only spent 10K on ads this time.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, whereas we've had different launches where we've really pumped ads in and it all works. It's just figuring out, like, it's not an all or nothing thing.
Yeah. And it's testing, which is kind of what you're saying as well. Like it's testing, especially with launches. And I think launches and group coaching programs have changed a lot in the last couple of years. I think the appetite for it has changed. And I think if you don't have a well-established brand, it's harder to get something up now than it was 5 years ago. I think now if you've got a well-established brand with that like, know, and trust factor, that's so huge for people. I think there's still a lot of momentum, but I think people popping up that don't have a huge community behind them, I do think it is harder now.
And yes and no. I'm going to challenge that a little bit.
No, I like that.
Yes. The reason why I'm going to challenge it is because I feel like I have been in business for quite a while now, and it is harder for me to be nimble and to jump on trends, right? Because especially now where I think I've got a team behind me, for me to go in and change something, it's like shifting the Titanic around a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I always say when someone's new, they can jump on trends. They can be a little bit more fresh and nimble with things because there's not as many decision makers or there's not as many things behind the scenes. So that is your advantage. And I think that's where you have to go, it is fresh and new. I also think sometimes people take for granted more established brands. And say, for example, with my money bootcamp, there'll be people, it's like, well, she's always there.
Yeah.
Like it's always there when I want it.
I'll do it next month. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas I think then if you're new and fresh, it feels people are always looking for that silver bullet. And even for people who have been in my boot camp for, say, 13 years, they can join and be in there forever. I've seen some people go, oh, but I'm going to learn from there because they seem like they've got some new exciting secret, right? Yeah. And so you can use that to your advantage sometimes to jump on, like a trending thing that's happening.
Yeah. A trending form of delivery or a trending platform to execute.
Yes. Because you've got the energy. Yeah. Like when TikTok came in, at first I was just like, I do not have the fucking bandwidth for this. Like, I do not. And then Threads or whatever.
Oh, God. Yes.
Like, I don't have it. Whereas I know that there were times earlier on, I actually did create success very quickly because I had bandwidth. I was like doing periscopes in my car every day, like with my kids asleep in the background. And so I think that's a mindset thing sometimes of going, oh, they've got this, but it's like, hey, I've got a new, fresh perspective and I can make those mistakes and I don't have an established brand that is at risk, especially then if you do that with ads, right? Because then you can get that credibility very quickly. And it just feels new and fresh and exciting and you can experiment. So that's just where I was going to challenge you on that, because sometimes I think too, then the mindset for people who've been around for a long time like me, it's like everyone's seen it. If it's old, it's stale. So we have to find ways to make it fresh and exciting too. Like, trust me, I just want to go and live in a dance hype house and make dances. That's all I want to do. But I'm like, I don't have the bandwidth to do it.
I love that. No, I think, of course, you're so right. And I was a brand manager at Revlon for a few years back in my corporate life. And our adage was nothing sells like new. Every time we launch a new mascara, that was the #1 mascara of the year. And you think, like, what do? We tweaked the brush a bit, or we put it in a different color tube, or we promised them my minute 1% better than the last one. And nothing sold like new. And
it's so true.
That's true. The new take on something, the fresh energy. And I think the point I was coming to as well is that ads gives you that opportunity to test. So even though you're a seasoned launcher, you have that opportunity. Even as you said, your husband did like a mini launch on ads. Like, it gives you that opportunity. Like, what are we going to do differently? What if we structure it this way? Or what if this time we do all video? Or what if we do the lead magnet and then the follow-up funnel. And I think that's where ads, trying to test something organically, there's just not enough traction anymore to get the fast learnings. You're going to get them, but you're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to get on stories every day. You're going to have to post twice a day, whereas the ads can accelerate those learnings of what's the market want to hear right now from me? What's resonating the most right now?
Absolutely. And I think that consistency too is so important, right? Is because then if you have those things, then you can have the bandwidth to have the spontaneity because you know that the structure's there, you know that the building blocks are there. Because if you're trying to do everything in real time, you really run out of steam in a launch. You absolutely do. And I know I've gotten to the end of launches where I've just been like, ugh. But this last launch, someone was like, how's your launch going? When's the deadline? I went, I actually don't know. I said, I don't know when the deadline is. I've got nothing to do with it. But yet people are telling me, oh my God, I'm seeing you everywhere. You're all over. And I'm like, cool. And I love that because that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I think sometimes women, we're so entwined in our business. We feel like it has to be in real time all of the time. Instead of going, my business is an entity that's separate to me. Its job is to help people, but I don't have to do that 24/7. And I've fallen into that trap many times. And I'm like, I don't need to do that anymore. Also, repurposing things, right? Not everything has to be so new. But when you're saying new is cool. Sometimes when I'm on my podcast, I will go and do the Wayback Machine on my website from 13 years ago. And I go, I'm just going to do that again because it's the same stuff, but I've got different stories or I've got a different perspective, but actually people need to hear the same things in a different packaging. And, I actually bought something, I don't know, cream or something. As I was throwing the packaging away, it said 20% more people, blah, blah. And then it said, tested on 22 people. I went, I fell for that. I totally fell for that.
Those bloody beauty claims. 100% people said reduced wrinkles. We tested on 2 people. You're like, oh,
I know. I definitely do that now in my business where I feel like some people need a thing, right? And so my boot camp is open all year round. But we still do it as a launch because there's some people that want to know there's a start date and an end date for this container. Now, when you talk about like money personalities, which I love talking about money archetypes, there are some personalities, they don't care when the deadline is. They want it now. And I'm like that. I'm a ruler. I'm like, if you've got a solution, I don't want to wait for your launch in 4 months. I want the solution now. I'm self-motivated. I don't need a deadline. But there will be people who need to know this is a thing. This is a container. There's a deadline. There is a price increase coming or there's something. And I think there's places for all of those, especially when you really know who you are and who your audience is. And then different things will work for different people.
Oh, absolutely. I always say that to clients about even like the homepage of a website. They'll say, oh, it's a lot of content on the homepage. And I say, your homepage needs to be for the person that arrives and in 2 seconds they know what they want and they click off and do it. And it also needs to be for the person that wants to read a short bit about everything about you and get all the way to the bottom and then they're ready. And it's like a sales landing page is the same. You need to meet people for who they are. I want to get back to the point you made about repetition and repurposing. And I think for me, that's caught up in a mindset where we think people are paying more attention to us than they are.
Oh, God, yeah.
You say it once, you say it twice, and you think, I've said it. And it's like, no, you've not said it. You've probably said it to 10% of people, and people are joining you all the time. So if I join you today, I don't necessarily scroll back to 7 years of your Instagram and read every post or listen to every podcast episode or read every blog. That repetition to us as we create it feels like, oh, I've said this before. Oh, this is just a slightly different version of what I did a year ago or 3 months ago. But the user is not that engaged. You're not that centrifugal to their life.
That's so true. I did a weekend in Bristol where I was running a conference, and I honestly thought that I bombarded my audience with it. Like we did ads. I talked about it on my podcast. It was in newsletters. It was on my social media for months. And yes, we sold out tickets pretty early. But when I was in Bristol, I had people saying, "You're in my town?" Oh, and I was like, how did you miss this?
Yeah.
I felt like I was literally bombarding people. And to the point where I was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do any more messages about that. People did not know. And they were like, I listen to your podcast every week. But they could have just, when you are reversing your car in your podcast, the sound goes down. I might have been saying it as they were they were reversing, and they did hear that bit.
Yeah.
And it shocked me because I thought, I did talk about for 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, I would have bought it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't talk about it more.
Yeah, exactly. I have clients say to me, maybe we're doing social media for them, and then they'll say, oh, and so I got so-and-so to do my website. And I'll say, oh, we could have done that for you. I didn't know you did websites. And I'm like, how did you not? No, like when you're in it, but they're not in it. Your ideal client and your current client, they're not as invested in you as you think they are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think in terms of not advice, but people that are being held back from doing ads. What do you think is some of the biggest drivers of that?
I think too, when you start your business, you feel like you have to do everything yourself. Yeah. And if you can't figure out ads, then you're not meant to do them. And I think find an expert. You're going to love this advice. Find an expert who can either do it for you or show you how to do it, and just dip your toe in it and start, because you don't need to figure it all out yourself. You don't need to do everything in your business yourself. As I said, I just, there's no way I could do ads myself. It was so confusing to me. However, I will say this is like grandma time, right? It's like when they started, they were so complicated. They're so much easier now. Same with anything. I remember having to try and find code to justify a picture on my blog.
Yes.
You couldn't just click it. And I'm like, guys, it's all drag and drop now. What are your excuses? Just bloody do it. And the same with all the AI tools that are coming to help with ads. You just have to just do it and find someone who can help you. And so you can do the thing that you're excellent at, not all the things. It's a tool. And it's not the savior of saviors, but it is a tool. It's really funny. Actually, I changed my company name because of Facebook ads.
Really?
So, yeah. So at the start of my business name was Lucky Bitch.
Yes,
that's right. So it was luckybitch.com. Yes. And so we were in a launch and Facebook just said, nope, you can't say bitch anymore. So we had to mute it in every video. I had to blur it in the background, and we had to take it off all of our landing pages at the same time. And so after that, I just went, it's actually not worth it. If ads are going to be such a huge strategy for us going forward, I can see the writing on the wall here, and I don't want to limit myself in that way. So we changed everything in the company to Denise DT after that. Yeah.
Which is insane. Again, I think as much as people want to deny it and move around and all that, Meta does have a chokehold on the market. And I think that understanding that it's really hard to do it without Meta. It's hard to reach the masses without Meta.
Yes. I've had to go through that process myself a little bit, because we've spent well over $1 million with Meta, and every couple of months they're like, oh, now you have to send the money to Dublin. Now you have to send the money to Singapore, because obviously they're trying to minimize tax around the world, right? And there was a point where I was like, I really don't want to.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I just think this is a tool. And yes, Mark started that business to rate college women. And you know what? Joke's on you, because now so many beautiful women I know have used your platform to create businesses for ourselves. And so I am grateful for Facebook as a platform, because it has allowed me to have massive financial independence and create amazing value. We've made $30 million in my business.
Yeah.
And that has then allowed me to invest in real estate and all of these other places. So it's one of those things you can go into it going, but you know what? It's still a great way to reach my market, to help them solve their problems.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, I remember when ads launched, and about probably 4 years into business then, and people were outraged. They were outraged. Oh, now they're going to charge us money. And I said, when could we have reached the markets we have reached without this free platform. And if we have to pay
Absolutely.
to play on that platform so that it's actually a business that has longevity, when it's given us access that we never would have had locally or internationally, it is a small price to pay to actually keep that juggernaut running. If they hadn't monetized in that way, why would they have continued? Why? It's not a charity. They're not going to run the software, have the servers, hold the data, all that sort of stuff. So I always took ads as this is about longevity. I'd had 15 years in corporate marketing. I knew what it costs to reach a target market. And to reach a target market, you never really knew who was made up of. You do TV ads and radio ads, and it kind of comes back to that stat we said before about the skincare. TV and radio ads was based on 1,000 people and then telling you, well, that must hold true for the other 15, 17 million people in Australia. We've never been able to access the exact type of people we need to access so cost effectively. And I think my business very much started, I'd had a baby and I worked with a lot of women who had babies and were selling products for babies. And none of those businesses, none of those side hustles, none of that, being able to be at home with their baby for so long, none of that would have been possible without social media.
Oh, not at all. And I do see people bitch about that too and go, oh, my organic reach is only getting X% of my audience. And from your corporate days, if you were to do an ad campaign, you would only expect a 2% reach anyway, and you're paying millions of dollars.
100%.
So even if you're only getting 2 to 5% for free with your organic stuff, and I know I get way more than that because I'm so consistent with my organic stuff, that's amazing on 100%. Someone else's platform. And then you can enhance that with paid. So we've got to flip that. I've never felt resentful about that of going, because I know, well, I have to be more engaging too.
Yeah.
And I have to experiment with different times of day and different things. And yeah, it would cost millions of dollars to reach that. I am grateful. And also I'm still a bit like, I don't like the fact that we have that chokehold, exactly what you said. So that means too, for me, I've made sure that I've got opt-ins so I can capture those email addresses. I've got a podcast which is off that platform.
Yeah.
I also would like to experiment with ads. We've done a few like YouTube ads, or as I said, I can't monetize my own stuff, but I can pay to have my ads everywhere else, thanks to my old boss. LinkedIn, there's lots of other things, but nothing still has that reach. And that's fine. But just make sure we're not putting all our eggs in the one basket and making sure we're always developing our own collateral, our own email lists, our own viewership as well away from those platforms. Because my this bootcamp group got shut down.
Yeah.
We couldn't get it back. We tried everything. I had to start a new group. And so it's like, you use these tools. They're a tool, right? They're a tool. They're not our savior, and they're not our enemy. I love the fact that women are using these tools to create financial independence.
Yeah, it is a valid point. I think it does have the biggest reach still in Australia, but you can't. It's those people that don't have a website that give me anxiety. I don't have a website. I just run it all off Instagram, and it's like, that is a huge risk. Like, it's a huge risk. And obviously we saw the 3-minute shutdown of TikTok in the US and the fear that ran through. That could happen at any day on any platform. And it's true. You can't put all your eggs in any of those baskets.
Especially with more AI moderation too, because one of the things that we got shut down for is because I teach EFT tapping. And AI flagged it as I was teaching wiretapping, how to tap, there's no...
They don't want to conversate about it. No,
it was horrible. So it's like we have to be mindful about all of those things and going into it with our eyes wide open and realizing it's a tool that we can shape and use to use
it to your advantage while you've got it, but don't solely build your whole. It's that, don't build your house on borrowed land, because we really don't know. And if it works the way, we'd need to pivot. So you need to have enough connection with your community in other ways that you could pivot.
But I know what I was going to say is, when I started my business, I live in Newcastle. It's not a big city hub, right? And I started out doing local events And I could have 4 people, 10 people, 20 people kind of in a room. And now I'm so grateful. I literally have a global business. I charge in US dollars because most of my audience is American, but I don't have to go there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to, and I actually don't do any business in Newcastle anymore. I don't do any speaking here because I want my town to be my place. And then I know that I can reach people all around the world and serve them because of these platforms.
Yeah. And again, like what a privilege that 2 decades ago we simply couldn't have had.
No, I would have just still, I don't know, just also, it's not even just the customers. For me, those early years of having Facebook groups of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anyone who was an entrepreneur, let alone an online female entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Those early years, they were an absolute lifeline for me. And then when I became a mom, I joined local mums groups. None of them were entrepreneurs. So then I found Facebook groups of business women who are mums. And it was like, oh, thank God. And now some of the groups I'm in like cross-stitch groups. I'm in orange cat appreciation groups. Like I don't even have an orange cat. Just all these groups and communities that bring me so much joy. But also I have friends all around the world. Some of them I've never met in person. I've never spoken to, but I feel so connected to them. I feel like the online friendships are real friendships. And I know that is the stated goal of Meta, is like to connect. Is that what their thing is, to connect the world or whatever?
Yeah.
And it is true. It has, and there's so many people who are using it in yucky ways now, and we have to crowd that out.
Yeah, totally. And I think, again, it's the mindset. It's focusing on what the positives are of it, acknowledging what isn't great about it, but focusing on the positives and what it's brought to us. Yeah, whether you're in business or whether you're just a person looking for connection, the way that element of the world has changed, there are so many positives.
Oh, I got diagnosed with ADHD because of social media, with perimenopause. I'd never even heard the word before. And so, focus on that. You're giving solutions to people that might not have them. And I've seen this in so many industries. I've had people who pre-pandemic said, no, my work can only be done in person. And then realizing that they can help someone in a remote town now because they've changed their mindset about what's possible, who they can reach, and where their work can go. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I was 15 years into corporate marketing. I didn't ever expect I would be a business owner and be working with people all around the world from a corner of my lounge room and with a baby. Really, the way that it has changed lives is, there's a lot of positive in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you. This has been such a wonderful chat. I think we've covered a lot of ground, and it's been, something I've looked forward to personally, but I think something that'll be really valuable for people to listen to as well.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you for the work that you do as well, because I think the more we can demystify ads for people, allow them to accelerate and amplify their work is so important. So people listening, don't be afraid. Get Marianne's advice and give yourself permission to help more people, make more sales, be more visible, whatever it is. And if I can help from the mindset piece, that I'm here as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I encourage everyone to do your boot camp. As I said, it changed my business, my life, and it's something I've come back to again and again. Every year in January, I think it's time to get everything out, go through it again, declutter again, what's still hanging around. So it's a lifelong work. It's not a one and done scenario.
Yeah. And same message again and again, but I just do it. New videos every year and a half. People go, oh, it's new and improved.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And to everybody else, I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
That's a wrap on another episode of Ready, Set, Paid Ads. If you're looking for done-for-you services, training to upskill you in ads management, or free and paid resources to help you plan and execute better ads, head to wiseupmarketing.com.au. If you've loved this episode, be sure to subscribe for future episodes. And if you know someone that would love this podcast too, go on and share it.